9 p.m. Dubai time, 6 p.m. Central European time, and every Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen, we are having for one of our partners named the FlipMe. Now, at the beginning of this year, ladies and gentlemen, we said that on a weekly basis, we will give you latest news and updates before the FlipMe is going to be live, after the FlipMe is launched, and in the upcoming months and in the upcoming years, with this amazing product, we will not just conquer Europe, we will not just conquer Latin America, but we will conquer the entire globe. Now, 1 week ago, ladies and gentlemen, I told you that this call is gonna be special, that this call is gonna be unique, because we will have a guest who is literally the Steve Jobs of the FlipMe, the gentleman with the team who is making impossible possible. No one has done anything quite like this before. No one in the industry will have something that the FlipMe has. Now, what do I mean by that? Now, years ago, banks, they said the cryptocurrencies is something that it will never exist. They said that Bitcoin will go to zero. They said that the blockchain technology is useless and people can literally just exit the Bitcoin and blockchain era. Now, 1.5 years ago, what has changed? ETFs approve Bitcoin, they start to adopt the blockchain technology, and today even the presidents all around the globe, they are launching their own meme coins. So after the ETFs were approved, after the government started to jump in, it was just a matter of time when thousands of companies, tens of thousands of projects will jump into the blockchain and into the crypto space. Now also the banks start to offer Bitcoin in US, in China. Now this, let's say, mass offer is happening all around the globe. Now when we are speaking about the applications to combine banking and crypto and under one roof put together several banking system and several card providers, no one has done anything quite like this before. That's why with me today, Mr. Matjaž, the gentleman who the past years was, I can say, establishing everything, doing with millions of hours of conversation with the lawyers, with due diligence, with MiCA 1, MiCA 2, MiCA 3, and literally we came to the point when something that was 3, 4, 5 years ago impossible, in a matter of days, ladies and gentlemen, is gonna be possible. That's why let's give one warm applause. Matjaž, welcome on today's call. It's something special. You can see we have almost 700 people on the call. People are still coming. If you don't have your team members on the call, pick up the phone, start dialing, start inviting them, because for the first time we are having the gentleman from the FlipMe on the call. We prepared the amazing Q&A session, and I'm sure that after this call, you will have 100% clear picture where we were, where we are, and even more important, where we are going with the FlipMe. Michael, Matjaž, welcome on today's call. Tell me, how are you? Where are you? And let's start. What was with the FlipMe in the past 1.5, 2 years?
So first of all, thank you for the magic introduction. I hope I'm feeling the shoes correctly. So welcome everybody for the call. I have to say, I think you see it already. I'm not used to talk to such a huge crowd and such a great crowd. So I'm more from a technical department. So this is a new thing for me. But anyhow, let's say the year and a half that we have been through, it has been crazy. So from our side, combining everything, we were actually explaining to the banks, to the regulators, to Apple App Store and developers and so on and so on. We were actually explaining them what they want to do, what we want to do. And of course, the first reaction from many providers was like, okay, this is impossible. This you will never succeed. This is not something which is feasible and so on. Of course, going steps forward and so on, and speaking with especially with the regulators. They actually accepted us as a I will call it as a first example, which could serve also for the future examples how things can be done, in sense of how to approach let's say with integration, how to approach with making protocols of integration, and how to do everything, let's say in a way where it's modular, where you can, I would say, plug in, plug out very easy, and basically go through the situation where the user has an easy route to connect to a new service provider, to include, I don't know, a new service, to say, okay, let's say to change banks with 2 clicks. So not only, okay, you have to go somewhere, you have to put another KYC and a lot of effort before you change it. I would say before, I think a lot of financial services were like a marriage, I will call it like that. Now what we have done is we have done something where actually, if you see that some service provider is or will be in the future more competitive at a certain service, it will be very easy. You just click and you are already a member of or a user of that service, and from there on you can move forward. This is and I would say also finding the right partners, because we are from the beginning, you are small. And when you are small, everybody thinks, this is again a dreamer which is trying to do something, and so on and so on. And fortunately, I think we have been very lucky to combine, I would say, 2 elements. So one element is actually the technical knowledge that we have, and the other element is the mass of people behind us who is actually waiting for our solutions, which actually gives us the weight where we can persuade easier the service providers, we can persuade easier the regulators that there actually is a need for a service which we want to offer.
But Yash, in the past 1.5 years, all these constant changes of regulations, then in the European market, we are not allowed to sell. Then outside of the European Union, because of the MiCA, we are allowed to distribute the cards. I know that there was so many delays. What was the biggest challenge in the past 1.5 years? And now, before it is launched, where were the main challenges in the past 1.5 years?
Okay, so besides the technical challenge, which is, I would say, easier to overcome, because this is something which you have in your hand. So this is something where, so everybody who is in the technical department will understand. So this is very factual industry where you come, it's either working or not working. So the laws of physics are there, and you just have to follow them, and it's easy. Now the first challenge, let's say, which is for me a serious challenge, is the regulation. So this is something which is, I will say, it's always a moving target. So once you say, okay, for example, like you said yourself, a new regulation is implemented, and then you have a problem because actually the players on the market don't know how to implement this regulation. So then you have a situation where this regulation is from today till tomorrow changing, and our challenge is even more is even bigger, let's say, because we want to have a universal approach to this regulation. So it's not only to position ourselves into a non-licensed, so a project which is a marketplace, not a service provider, because it's very easy to cross the line. So very easy you are breaching some regulations or something like that, and well, maybe it's as I said before, it's good luck right now, because I grew up, or we grew up all in the European Union, which is the most regulated in the world. So it has the most limitation and the strictest rules on almost all of the financial services. So it was good that we started here, and we saw, okay, this will be a problem, and then of course resolving this resolving each case. And again, you are shooting a moving target. So this is not a target where you say, the rules is going to be for the next 20 years the same. No, the rules is on the 1st of January, you have one rules. On the 5th of January, you have already the second set of rules, because they have found out that the first set of rules is not actually providing the result that they want to have. So this is, let's say, a challenge. And then you have a challenge which we are tackling right now, for example, and this is exactly the most of the, let's say, delaying things, is that for example, you have App Store, which is a worldwide distributor of applications, and imagine now that you have to explain something which we were studying for a year and a half and fighting for it a year and a half, and now you have to explain it to somebody who you met yesterday. So this is an app review person who doesn't have an expertise in finance, doesn't have an expertise in legal department, is not an expert in regulation, and of course they have also strict rules because they also need to follow the guideline. But we are succeeding with this, and I have to say I'm very optimistic. So again, where you said in the beginning, in a few days, this is really something which I think is realistic, that in the next few days, a week, we will have an application which is actually on the App Store, which you can download. But of course, you come back to the point where you have to go step by step, because what happens is you give to the review person 350 pages document, and they have to review it. So basically, they have to come on par with our knowledge that they can actually say, yeah, this is something we can let through, or they cannot let through. And to get to that, of course, this is it's like, I don't know, whoever was involved with or is involved with Instagram. Here you have the same thing. Support of Instagram gives you the same answer on every question. So please try it like this, or please check the guideline. And here is the same. At the beginning you are fighting like. I always call it with the tax office, where they just say, oh, here is the 50,000 pages of our tax law, and in for example, App Store is the same. You have the regulation, you have their rules, which were set by 1,000 lawyers. I don't imagine how much. And of course they say, you are in breach of regulation 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and then you go to the regulation, and then okay, now we have resolved this regulation. Now you are in breach of the 1, 2, 5, 7. Okay, again, and so you have this back and forth. What I'm proud to say, we have grown to the point where we have personal involvement of App Store, where we are talking to them, where we have, let's say, the phone numbers of the people who are reviewing us, to give them the explanation, because what we have managed to do is they are also interested to push this kind of application through. So this is, again, one of the breakthroughs that I think are very important, or let's say the challenges that we have overcome. We are not at the end of the route, and of course now the next challenge when we deploy the application will be, I will say, the troubleshooting. So what I'm always saying is,
we will come to this point. Let's go. We have 5 questions. I know that. So for the first question, after a year and a half, everything fully compliant, everything ready for the European Union and outside European Union. And if I understood your answer, Apple review is in the final stages of the confirmation. You expect the confirmation in a matter of days. And let's assume 10 days, in approximately 10 days, 12 days period, the application should be in the App Store.
Exactly, yes.
Okay, good. My dear audience, if someone asks you, first of all, final stages of the App Store in a matter of days when this is confirmed, of course, we will inform you when this will happen. We will need to celebrate this definitely, Matjaž. I know that a lot of other challenges are coming. We will come to this question. But once again, in a matter of days, FlipMe will start to exist. Matjaž, question number 2 is, there is a few crypto cards out there. Our community knows them. For example, we have Crypto.com. It was Binance in the past in Europe. Now it's not anymore.
I lost you in between. I'm sorry. Can you repeat?
So when we are speaking about FlipMe, if we compare it with the Bitcoin Black, Alchemy, and Binance Card, what is the main difference?
Okay. So the main difference between our approach and the approach of, let's say, the general approach of the financial services is the following. So every financial services every application for the financial service actually starts from the license. So everybody is trying to do or is working on creating a license, getting, let's say, increasing the license in geographical situations and on the services. So more and more services adding on the system. Okay. And then, of course, creating the application because this is the ease of use, mobile use, and so on and so on. Okay. Our approach is completely different. So our approach is actually comes from the user standpoint. So we have a user, and this user is now using, I don't know, let's say the wallet. Okay. Now, the next service which this user is using is, I don't know, the exchange or the swap or the, I don't know, which is centralized, decentralized, or a bank or stuff like that. So the point of the whole thing is that when you have a transition of user from one service to the other, this user has to have 3, 4, 5 applications. One thing. And the second thing is that if a service provider has a problem with the license or has a problem with their technology or has a problem with liquidity or has any kind of problem, everybody is dependent on that one service provider. So what we are creating is actually, I call it a marketplace of all financial services. So on one side, we are satisfying the user to have the access to any service, to any provider. And of course, this is again, if I come back to the challenges, when you are small, you have less requests from the service providers, and when you are bigger, more people want to be on your marketplace. But on one side, we are offering to the user a marketplace of all service providers, also competitive service providers. That means that if you have swap A and you have swap B, or decentralized exchange A and decentralized exchange B, or even decentralized exchange and centralized exchange, they are competing on the same marketplace. So this is the positive part for the user. On the other hand, the positive effect for the marketplace, for the service provider, is that joining us, actually they have access to X amount of people. So the actual marketing cost, or actual, I would say, introduction cost, or usually it's called customer acquisition cost, let's say, but the introduction cost, I will call it, is much decreased. Why? Because they have immediately the offer on the application, which is available to all of our users. Therefore, there is no Google ads or YouTube something or Instagram or whatever kind of marketing they want to do. With us, they actually place the service on the market and it's available. And then the user, and I expect, or I imagine, that the users will be also communicating between themselves and see, okay, this service is good for, I don't know, this region, or this wallet, or this network, or this, I don't know, whichever parameter. And from there on, it will organically grow that good service providers will have more users, and therefore it is an automatic filter of all the users to filter the best ones and bring them up front. And this will then make, for me, so my vision, or our vision, is that we bring the best service. It does not need to be the cheapest, or it does not need to be the fastest or something, but the best service, or the most tailor-made service for each a user on his application, and to have one application for everything. So basically, at the same time have the wallet, at the same time have the card, at the same time have the centralized exchange, and at the same time have access to the bank in one application. And one thing, and this is again where we are let's say creating quite a disruption, to have the security in the hands of the user, in sense of that all of the services are let's say secured by private key of the user. So basically they are in the hands of the user, in sense of that whatever happens, whatever restorage or whatever passwords and so on, here you have the application, the private key is there, and from there on you are the, I would say, king of your destiny. So that's the one more, let's say, thing. But of course, the infrastructure of the banks and infrastructure of the service providers is not there. So we are constantly in communication, for example, with the banks. We are in communication with the exchange. Well, the exchanges are pretty much there, but even the exchanges don't have two-factor, or don't have two-factor in sense of, here is a signature on the wallet, or here is a signature which is Web3 signature or something like that. So even that is something which is for us, which is something which we are trying to push forward and drive the first mover, so to speak.
Matthias, you said it beautifully. Inside of the application, there are going to be different kind of payment providers, and then users will pick which one out of many will fit the users the most. Now let's touch the current providers. What you can tell us about the Bitcoin Black, what you can tell us about the Alchemy, what you can tell us about the third player, how everything goes when you are speaking about the integration, how does it work, so our users know how much work was done and how much work is still waiting on you?
Well, I like to not go into the past, because the past is somewhat traumatic, so to speak. But okay, so the point is, we have gone through many, I will say, ping pong games where with every provider you actually go through a certain how to say. Yeah, I would say in our case it's almost like a getting to know to get married, situation. So in any case,
I just want to say it, but I say, okay, maybe you will say it, so you say it. Yeah.
So basically, the point is the following. Let's say what we have managed to see, because this is, you have to understand that for example, when we are talking about Bitcoin Black, when we are talking about Alchemy, this is the filtered out. These are the filtered out providers. This is not the situation where the smallest or the fastest or something which is no. This is something which is proven to be something which works, which has a history, which has a support track record, which has all of this stuff. That it is not. I know some of the visitors here, or some of the listeners here, probably remember we had Tremendous, and Tremendous was let's say one of the possible solutions, and unfortunately it has proven as to be non-efficient when you go to scaling. So when you go to so this is what we are talking about here. We have providers which are moving. I cannot say how much, but they are moving big numbers in their volume, which have extensive experience in compliance, which know how to tackle problems. So this is the main thing. As I said before, you have a moving target. Also here, you have a moving target. So a provider can lose the license from today till tomorrow. So basically, the regulator says, you are no longer allowed to work. So these guys are not from yesterday, let's say. So these guys have been how do you say, forged through time with resolving this problem, that problem, communicating with the regulators, communicating with the community, and say, okay, what is the best solution? So in this case, I can only be proud that we actually got them on board. So both of them in this case. We have a third, it's called Zipto. Also, these are the guys who are, they are always looking to how to do the best service to the user, and always saying, okay, how do we regulate, because it's always a matter of balance. On one side you have a lot of regulation, in meaning 5 people can have access to certain things, and the other side is here you have 100,000 people who actually want to have this service. And it's always let's say a balance, how you start and how you position and how you let's say resolve this. And we have let's say implemented SumsUp, which is again, one of the leaders in the world in the industry of KYC. And once you do the KYC on SumsUp, from there on you are there. So again, this is again to a solution, and of course getting them on board was also some ping pong played there. You have them on board, and from there on, basically every service providers, every financial service provider can actually accept their KYC. They don't have a problem. This is some local, KYC provider from something, but this is actually a global player on the market. Every bank, or let's say almost every bank, know they exist. Every bank, and here I can say every bank actually, or every financial service provider understands their credibility. And this is again, you have then combination on the service providers, the KYC, the regulators, and the technical side, and our job, let's say, was to put all of these Legos together and make something that actually moves, something that actually works.
Matjaž, now all the Legos are almost together. We are speaking about a few days before the App Store approve. Now, one of the most common questions that I get from the field was, which features from the crypto side are gonna be inside, and which features from the let's say banking card providers are gonna be inside of the app day one. Can you just give us a quick brief what the light version of the FlipMe will include?
Okay, as I said, we are tackling this step by step. So what the big, let's say, the biggest concern for everybody is the following. We have App Store, for example. So this is for iPhone, and of course Play Store for Google. The App Store gives us the how do you say, the response in sense of what kind of service is available where. So this is actually the end discussion that we have with App Store, how we package or what we package where, and where things have to be limited and how they have to be limited. So what I presume, what I expect, that we will have the first version, this what we are talking about in the next few days, is it will have the decentralized services. So we are talking about normal wallet, normal transactions of, USDT and so on and so on. Here we are talking about a multi-chain wallet. So here we are talking about Ultron, of course, because this is our home base, so to speak. We are talking about Binance Smart Chain, Ethereum, and Polygon. Let's say this is the I would say the decentralized part. But this is okay. Then we have the swaps and we have the exchanges. So we are talking about distributed exchanges. So here we are talking about, for example, one is from ULX, so from Ultron to USDT, or vice versa, of course. And then we have, from BSC, Binance Smart Chain, USDT to, let's say, Ultron. USDT. So this is the second set of services, and this is what I would say 99.99% that here we don't have an issue. Okay, then we come to the centralized financial services. So here we have three providers, where one is virtual. So, but I will now compact it to products, not to providers, because the providers offer similar services, and it's a matter of product. So one thing is, what I expect that we will have a virtual card. So this virtual card is where you top up, you open the card, you top up, and then you go to point of sale or to anywhere where you can pay with a card, and basically top up, open the KYC, open the card, and spend, I would say, crypto funds. Okay, this is the centralized. Now, here we are just now questioning. So here we are in the final discussion, which jurisdiction meaning which geographical location. And geographical location means where you have, for example, your Apple account location. So if, for example, if you have a location, an Apple location from, I don't know, Germany, or if you have it from the US, or if you have it from, I don't know, China, or if you have it from, I don't know, Singapore, let's say. Or Nigeria, let's say, to put all the continents on the map. So it depends on these locations, and here we are seeing what kind of clearing we need, if we need any kind of clearing, because this depends on the license of the provider. And here we have exactly the dilemma, because we have the situation where one provider has on one jurisdiction and one set of jurisdiction, and we have another provider which has another set of jurisdictions. And this is the discussion that we are right now with the Apple, that which provider we can include to have this let's say the majority of the geographical locations open. So if I summarize again, decentralized wallet or decentralized currencies, sending, receiving, and so on, swapping of it, so decentralized exchanges in principle, and the virtual card. This is the first set.
When on this call we are having a lot of clients from the European Union, probably Hungarians, Köszönöm szépen, or then we are having, for example, Romania, Ce faci. So we have a lot of people from the Central Europe, yeah? So they will have a virtual card. So this weekend from day one, they will have the virtual card. What about the physical cards?
The physical cards is the next step. So that is, I will now go to one more thing. So every release, okay, I will make a joke. You know what is the worst nightmare of the developers? Do you know what it is? Okay, the worst nightmare of the developers are the users. Okay. You understand what I mean. So the point is, we need to have it gradual release, because you have to understand that this is not 3 Legos that we are putting together. This is 30,000 Legos that we need to put together, and they have to stand together. So this is why we have, or better, what I anticipate, or what I expect, and what I'm shooting for is that every, let's say, 1 or 2 weeks, maybe in the end every month, because we will have some hurdles, of course, with everyone. But let's say at least once a month, we have a new provider, we have a new solution, or we have an added service which we have. Because with this, we are creating 2 things. One thing is we are standardizing addition of each service provider. So, for example, once we have one virtual card provider, then in principle we have the set of rules for every following one. Once we have the first bank and we fight through for the bank with App Store, then we have for each following bank the set of rules and set of communication and the protocols and so on and so on. Of course, one thing is, what we are talking about is, testing in the laboratory. And one thing is when you put it live and you say, okay, if we have Tesla calling back 400,000 vehicles and they produce 500,000 vehicles, then you understand which kind of complication.
Then you have a problem. Yeah, I assume.
Exactly. And this is why I'm saying we have to do it gradually, and because otherwise we will catch our own tail, or better, our technical debt will bury us. And this is what I will not allow, because this is why we are, let's say, holding a little bit of a break, or well, we are holding it quite strong at this moment, just to be sure that once we are live, that we don't have like a burning star situation, So this is the point. So that's why we don't want. I'm Domen, you know me, so I'm not a person who wants to make promises. We will have this and this and this and this. I like to talk about what we have done. So I prefer this. And what I'm saying is, I prefer to say, okay, in the next months we will have this, and the next amount of time we will have this, and so on, so that I what I can say, what I can, let's say, give you the let's say a little bit of a sneak peek is. Once we have the first iteration online, then the road is, let's say, much more smoother, because at the same time when we are explaining, also the providers, the app stores, and so on are getting the information what we are doing and so on. So from there on, of course, I expect, let's say, physical cards. Physical cards is, let's say, technically this is not a big issue. This is not something which is very complicated. But a physical card brings the logistics of sending and receiving. So basically, somebody has to send it. Point number one. Point number two, it has to arrive. And point number three, it has to be safely stored on all of this route. So this is again, a challenge which you see. For example, because we are doing this globally, that means if somebody is sending it to, I don't know, Nigeria, it's a different situation than if somebody is sending it to Germany. And I'm not saying Nigeria is far off or doesn't have a postal service, but it has a different protocol. They have the same level of service, but it's a different situation when you send it to Nigeria or if you send it to Germany. And of course, the provider also has to adapt their own rules. And then, of course, you have one more situation where, of course, with the volume, they will understand and they will see. And of course, if we have, like we have right now, already people waiting for it, the influx of orders is, of course, much greater, and the stress to the support, stress to the logistics, stress to everything is much greater. So this is something which we are tackling. So let's go step by step. Let's go week by week or 2 weeks by 2 weeks, and I promise you that you will have every certain amount of time you will have something to announce and something to say. Okay, now we are including this, but I hope. Or I'm working on, or we are working on it, that it will be something where you will be able to say, now we have added, not now we will add.
Understand. Okay, Matthias, before I go to the last question, the most important information is, let's assume that in a matter of days, you get approval from the Apple. After the approval comes, we are literally immediately in the App Store. And when the cards start to exist, then literally every 2 weeks, new features are gonna be added. If at the beginning it's virtual card, after 2 weeks there is gonna be physical card, and then new features, and then new providers, and then new features. And literally from day one, we will start to count thousands and thousands of users. And my final question is, what is the FlipMe mission by the end of the year, and let's say in the next 5 years?
So there are two layers of this mission. So one layer is the let's say dissemination or the attraction to the users. So this is one layer. Here, I think we are shooting for, let's say, we are shooting for, let's say, 50,000 users, which brings us to the map of global applications with financial service providing. So this is number one, and this is actually the main component for the second one. So the more users we have, the more providers will ask us to join. So it's the same, if you remember the start of Amazon, when you have, 10,000 users, you are begging people to join your market. When you have 10 million users, the providers are begging to join the market. So this is where we are, I will say, the small dog, the weak dog in the marketplace at this moment. And this is where our approach is a little bit different. What I expect is, I expect multiple services, so multiple services on all sectors. So all sectors means cards, means banking, means centralized exchanges, means decentralized exchanges, means networking sense of different blockchain networks or blockchains. Then we have even certain things which we can implement and nobody else can implement, in sense of, because we are let's say license agnostic, so to speak. What we can implement is certain other swaps and certain other direct transactions, whereas our route will be also to make the cryptocurrency to fiat, and fiat to cryptocurrency, and cryptocurrency to another cryptocurrency as easy as possible. So in sense of that, now everybody is okay, you'd make a swap and then you need, I don't know, for example from Ultron to Binance, and then you need BNB. Okay, and then how do I get the BNB? Or even worse is, you go to Tron, you go to, I don't know, whichever network, and then you don't have the gas there, and you don't have this, and you all have this, and so on. So what our option is also to include all of the, not all, but let's say the major I would say liquidity providers, but major payment services also in crypto world, where you will be able to say, okay, now I have 100 USDT on BNC. Okay, now I want to send it to Ethereum, for example, without first swapping and doing this and doing this and doing this, but this will be one transaction. So the user interface will be, I want to send 100 USDT on Ethereum to wallet X, and I have whatever asset I have, and I will confirm from which asset it goes. So this is for me the main thing, in sense of, I don't know what will be the American situation, or what will be, because America is dictating also the world, what will be the adoption of crypto. Right now it looks good, but we will see, because things change overnight. If that will be an option, then I think also the banking system will improve more and more, in sense of accepting this and doing the services and so on and so on. So what I'm expecting is multiple service providers, multiple areas of services, and what I'm shooting for is to be one-stop shop for any kind of financial service. So this is to be Amazon for financial services. That's it.
Matjaž, what I can say, thank you very much for a detailed explanation of the past, of the current situation, and of the future. From the perspective of Mavi Global and all our distributors, we give you a promise that 50,000 cards we will reach in a matter of months. Day one, more than 20,000 cards are going to be distributed because they are already paid. And from the 50,000 on, like you said, you become, let's say, a global provider for this. And from that moment on, we truly believe that also the FlipMe will cause way more attention when we are speaking about the global stage of payment providers. Matjaž, once again, thank you very much. I promise you that our audience would see you, let's say, every 3 months on that kind of calls, in order to give us the latest news and updates. Can you give us this promise?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, my dear audience, Matjaž, once again, thank you very much for joining. We are keeping our fingers crossed. Let's smash the FlipMe all around the globe, and we are keeping once again our fingers crossed.
If you allow me, I will just use one more minute, because I have one request from all of our future users. What we are doing is something which has not been done. However, the launch or the usage will not be without problems. So we are not expecting to give the birth of this child without any how do you say, birth cramps, or I don't know what's the English word to it. So what I would ask is patience and let's say a little bit of lenience, that if we have, I don't know, certain things, we will. I can say for all of the team. All of the team is dedicated to resolve the problems as soon as possible. Sometimes this is technically technically possible. Sometimes it's technically impossible. So it takes maybe an hour, a day, or a week even more than expected. So if there will be certain problems, and I expect there will be, because again, we are talking about testing in laboratory and we are talking about live testing. So this is like, like if Tesla has this problem, then we are not immune to this problem. So what I would like to ask is a little bit of lenience, a little bit of patience. We will try to respond as soon as possible to any problem that anybody will have. You will have in the application the support ticket, and you can open the support ticket. We will monitor it constantly. So anything like that. And of course, I have to say one more thing, because we have with Domen often a discussion what will be, how will be, when it will be, and so on and so on. Certain things, of course, we can announce with a second detail. Certain things we cannot. Why? Because it's not in our hands. Because we are depending on something which is not, I will say, within the rules, and the target is always moving. So this is the situation. So that's why we have these delays and stuff like that. But anyhow, it was a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me, and I hope that you will like what we do.
See you in 3 months, Matjaž, with more than 100,000 users. My dear audience, once again, thank you very much for joining this call. I believe, once again, we get the information from the first hand that next week we will have the date and official start of the FlipMe. Köszönöm szépen, muchas gracias por todo, and see you next week, 9 p.m. Dubai time. Good night from Dubai.
Good night.